Welcome to the Classic Soap Operas podcast. Today, you're in for a truly captivating deep dive into the world of a television icon that graced our screens for nearly 3 decades, Love of Life.
It really was. A show that was such a staple for millions, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Exploring themes that, resonated deeply with its audience, from good versus evil to those really complex family dynamics.
Yeah, the classic stuff.
But beneath what seemed like a fairly straightforward premise, there was this fascinating history of, innovation, shifting trends, and, honestly, a truly dramatic end.
That's right. We're going to unpack its incredible run from 1951 all the way to 1980. We'll explore the brilliant mind behind it, Roy Winsor.
Definitely.
We'll delve into its evolving storylines and discover what made it a trailblazer and ultimately what led to that surprising cliffhanger conclusion.
Think of it as a kind of behind-the-scenes look at the real-life drama of creating a fictional world. We'll get into its unique production quirks, the ratings battles, and how it adapted, or maybe how it didn't, to the changing television landscapes. It's quite a story.
So settle in, because you're about to become really well informed on one of daytime television's most enduring, yet maybe sometimes overlooked, classics. Let's get into it. Okay, let's unpack this. Before we dive right into the show itself, we have to talk about the genius who created Love of Life. Roy Winsor. I mean, this man was a titan of early television.
He really was. And what's fascinating is Windsor's immense impact. He didn't just create Love of Life. He was behind Search for Tomorrow, which premiered just, 3 weeks before it?
Just 3 weeks. Incredible timing.
Right. And then The Secret Storm a couple years later. These were all long-running, really foundational soaps. He basically built the genre.
It's like he had this Midas touch for creating serials that just lasted forever, and his range. He even produced episodes for legendary sitcoms like I Love Lucy and My Little Margie.
That's the part that always gets me.
And get this, he also produced the Western radio show Have Gun Will Travel. Talk about range.
Yeah,
Seriously.
Indeed. His background was incredibly extensive. He'd written for so many radio serials before moving to TV. That experience was crucial,
Understanding that long-form storytelling.
Exactly. He even innovated in color television, creating Ben Jarrett in 1963, which was the first daytime TV drama entirely broadcast in color. A real pioneer.
And he kept working on soaps later in his career, too, even co-creating Another Life for the Christian Broadcasting Network in the 80s. He described its central family as being held together by values such as discipline, loyalty, and moral standards. It kind of gives you a sense of his underlying philosophy, maybe.
That raises an interesting question, doesn't it?
Yeah.
How did this broad experience, from radio dramas to sitcoms, influence his approach to daytime serials like Love of Life?
Yeah, what was the secret sauce?
It suggests such versatility and a deep understanding of storytelling across different mediums. Plus, and this is a fun detail, he was an Edgar Award-winning mystery novelist.
No way.
Yes. He won for The Corpse That Walked. How great is that? It shows he knew how to build suspense.
Definitely adds another layer to the guy. Okay, so Love of Life premieres on CBS September 24th, 1951. And right from the start, its core was this powerful morality play, right? A classic battle of good versus evil.
That's absolutely right. And it was really personified through the interactions of two sisters, Vanessa Dale, or Van, the good girl, the virtuous one.
The heroine.
Exactly. And then there was Meg Dale, the schemer, the quote-unquote bad girl. The show's tagline even spelled it out. Love of Life. The exciting story of Vanessa Dale and her courageous struggle for human dignity.
It really painted things in black and white back then, didn't it? Van stood up for what was right, while Meg was just constantly scheming. But Van still loved her sister, which was interesting. And she kind of taught the audience about forgiveness, especially through Meg's son, Beanie, who later became Ben. You can just imagine the tension for viewers.
Oh, yeah. That early focus on clear moral lines and forgiveness was such a hallmark of initial soap opera storytelling. It provided a kind of moral compass for viewers, which was really important in the early days of TV.
Sort of reassuring, maybe?
I think so. It's a foundational element that really defines the genre's beginnings, offering clear heroes and villains.
Now, here's where it gets really interesting on the production side. Unlike a lot of soaps, Love of Life had this unique commercial format in its early days.
Indeed. Because it was owned by American Home Products, AHP, and just licensed to CBS, all the commercials were for AHP products.
Right, only their stuff.
And they occurred before or after the show, not during. It wasn't until the 1960s, maybe 63, that they introduced a single commercial break mid-program.
Just one?
Just one, and mostly just for local affiliates to reconnect after their own ads. It meant the story flowed much more continuously.
Imagine that. No constant interruptions. It sounds like a dream for binge watching today. It only adopted that standard 5 segments per half-hour format much later, in the 70s.
Right. This unique format really speaks to the different business models of early television. And it definitely meant a more continuous narrative flow for the viewer, which must have felt different.
It started as just a 15-minute program, right? Pretty standard for the time.
Yes, but it quickly gained popularity, which led CBS to expand it to 30 minutes in April 1958, and they moved it to noon.
A sign it was hitting home with audiences?
Absolutely. And through the 50s and 60s, it consistently ranked among the top 6 soaps. That consistent popularity really highlights its early success.
And a quick fun fact about where it was made. It was originally taped at Liederkranz Hall in Manhattan, a place that also hosted legends like Mike Wallace on Mike and Buff, Ernie Kovacs.
Wow, historic place.
And even early network news. Later it moved around CBS Broadcast Center, Studio 52. And get this, it was even kicked out of one studio in 1975 to make way for a nightclub.
Don't tell me.
Studio 54.
No way. That's incredible. Talk about pop culture collision. The soap opera making way for the disco era.
Exactly. It really shows how these production spaces were part of this whole evolving entertainment scene. It eventually settled in Studio 41 until the end, though.
Fascinating intersection of TV history and, well, nightlife history.
Okay, let's talk characters. One of the most iconic was Vanessa Dale, Van. The role was originated by Peggy McKay, fantastic actress, but she left in 1955.
She was. And she was replaced by Bonnie Bartlett, who played Van until 1959. But the next recast, that's the one everyone remembers.
Oh, this is such a good one. So when Bonnie Bartlett left, she played Vanessa right up to her wedding day, getting ready to marry Bruce Sterling.
Mm-hmm. The tension builds.
The very next day, Vanessa walks down the aisle. Her fiancé, Bruce, played by Ron Tom, raises her veil, and it's Audrey Peters.
Bam! Just like that, a completely new actress.
Peters played Van for the rest of the show's run, all the way until 1980, became the definitive Van for so many people.
That's such an extraordinary way to introduce a new lead. It just forced the audience to accept the change instantly. No transition, no explanation.
Right, just deal with it.
Peters herself even jokes that she didn't know anyone's names at the reception scenes they filmed right after, so she just called everyone Dear.
Ah, that's amazing. It does make you wonder, how did audiences react to something so bold back then? It says a lot about soap viewers' loyalty.
It really does, a unique kind of contract between the show and its fans.
So as the show moved into the 1960s, the drama really zeroed in on Van's new marriage to Bruce Sterling, played by Ron Tom. That relationship became central.
It did. But the late 1960s also brought attempts to shake things up a bit, make the show feel more contemporary. They started incorporating things like campus unrest into storylines.
Trying to stay relevant with the times.
Exactly, which was pretty timely.
And then came that huge twist. Van's first husband, who everyone thought had been, well, unalived back in the mid-50s.
He returns into you a day in bed. Yeah. The classic soap opera Return from the Dead, or presumed dead anyway. He showed up as an amnesiac named Matt Corby.
Talk about complicating things for Van and Bruce.
Oh, massively. But what's really fascinating here is the audience reaction. Vanessa actually divorced Bruce to reunite with her first husband.
Wow, that was bold for the time.
Extremely. And it apparently outraged many in the audience who could not accept their heroine getting a divorce. It really speaks to the strong moral expectations people had for soap characters then.
Especially the good girl lead. Divorce was still a huge deal.
Absolutely. It shows that tension between pushing storylines and keeping the traditional audience happy.
Now, while Van's life was plenty dramatic, other characters definitely had their own turmoil. The late 60s, early 70s saw that big storyline with Tess Krakauer and Bill Prentice.
Yes. Played by the real-life couple Tony Bulbua and Jean Bua. That always adds a layer for the fans, doesn't it?
Definitely. Theirs was that classic tortured love stories, separations, kids, even murder trials, everything but the kitchen sink.
Pretty much. It was designed to pull at the heartstrings, but it culminated really tragically with Bill dying of a rare blood disease in 72.
Oh, that's right. So sad for the viewers who loved them.
Yeah, and Tess left town shortly after, in 73. Their arc was a real contrast to Vanessa's story, showing that not everyone got a happy or even a resolved ending, a bit more grounded in tragedy, maybe.
A different flavor of drama for the show. Now, the broadcast side of things for Love of Life was always shifting, wasn't it? In 62, its running time was even cut by 5 minutes.
Right, just down to 25 minutes to fit in a newscast. Shows how programming schedules were constantly being juggled back then.
Then, September 69, they moved it earlier to 11:30 a.m., to make room for a new CBS soap, Where the Heart Is, and they restored it to 30 minutes.
This is a good move, getting back to 30 minutes,
But here's where it gets really critical for the show's survival. This time slot change put Love of Life directly up against NBC's monster hit Hollywood Squares.
Ouch. That's brutal competition. A light, funny game show versus a serious drama.
Exactly, and the impact was immediate and just devastating. Its audience share plummeted. It went from 5th place in the Nielsen ratings the season before,
Pretty respectable.
down to 11th the very next season. 11th.
Wow. That's a huge drop. And it shows how much power Hollywood Squares had and how much NBC was starting to dominate daytime.
Yeah, that slot change really hurt them. It directly helped NBC solidify its daytime dominance around 71, with Squares, Jeopardy, and Days of Our Lives all in the top 5.
It really illustrates how cutthroat daytime TV was and how crucial scheduling could be. A seemingly small change could have massive consequences.
CBS eventually took over production from AHP in 73, and they started cutting other soaps around that time too, like Love is a Many Splendored Thing and Where the Heart Is. Love of Life somehow dodged the bullet then.
It did, which is kind of amazing. And that was mostly due to a brief surge in ratings in the mid-70s.
And what caused that surge?
Well, largely attributed to bringing Meg back, the return of the original bad girl.
The old reliable. Go back to the core conflict.
Exactly. Tapping into that Van versus Meg dynamic again pushed the show back up, as high as 9th place. It even beat General Hospital and One Life to Live for a bit in the 75-76 season.
Wow. That really shows the power of those core characters and conflicts. Sometimes going back to basics is the smartest move.
It definitely bought them some more time.
Okay, so as the 70s continued and those ratings started to dip again after the Meg bump, guess who they brought back again?
Let me guess. Meg.
Meg, naturally. And her son, Ben Harper, now an adult. Meg was played by Tootie Wiggins then, and adult Ben was, for a time, famously played by Christopher Reeve.
Pre-Superman. That's a great piece of trivia. From 74 to 76, right? Before Chandler Hill Harbin took over.
That's the one. So bringing them back was clearly another effort to recapture that original Good Vanessa, Bad Meg magic.
Absolutely. It was a very conscious move, especially under the head writers at the time, Claire Labine and Paul Villemere. They wanted that moral contrast back, but maybe with a 70s edge.
And they definitely pushed the envelope. The show got noticeably grittier then. I remember reading about one episode where Meg, she called her son's newborn daughter, Suzanne, a bastard.
Whoa! On daytime TV in the 70s.
Yeah. Apparently one of the first times that word was actually spoken on daytime. That must have caused quite a stir.
It absolutely must have. That's a real reflection of the changing times, and probably a deliberate attempt to be more contemporary, maybe even a little shocking, to get people talking.
Trying to compete with the newer, edgier soaps, perhaps?
Very likely. It signaled a definite shift from the show's earlier, more, let's say, reserved tone.
But then Labine and Mayer left in 75 to create Ryan's Hope for ABC, which was known for being pretty gritty itself.
Right, a fantastic show.
And after they left, Love of Life seemed to lose its way a bit. The focus shifted to even grittier storylines, but maybe without the same skilled writing.
That seems to be the consensus. They kept pushing the gritty angle, maybe trying too hard to keep up. One example often cited is when Ben, played by Chandler Hill Harbin, then was nearly raped while he was in prison for bigamy.
Wow, that's incredibly dark for Love of Life. A huge departure from its origin.
A massive departure. And reportedly, these grittier plots weren't actually well received by the longtime audience. The ratings dropped even further.
It just goes to show, right? Sometimes pushing too far or in the wrong direction can alienate the very people you're trying to keep. Maybe too much grit wasn't what Love of Life viewers wanted.
It really raises that question about audience expectations. They wanted drama, sure, but maybe those themes were just too much for the traditional viewers who'd stuck with Van for decades?
Yeah, the show's ratings had been okay, if not stellar, in the 50s and 60s, but they really took a dive in the early 70s, and these extreme plots didn't help.
It seems like they misjudged what their core audience would accept. There was also that 1976 storyline with Rick and Cal Latimer, the Vietnam vet Michael Blake living with them.
Oh, right. The secret crash, the tryst.
And the fatal boating accident where Michael drowned, saving their son. Then Rick, Cal, and the son just left town for Montreal.
Lots of heavy drama, but maybe not connecting.
So much turmoil. Okay, fast forward to 1979. Love of Life is clearly desperate. Ratings are in the basement.
Yeah, things looked grim.
So on April 23rd, CBS makes this last-ditch effort, a real Hail Mary. They move the show to the 4:00 p.m. Eastern slot. The infamous 4 p.m. slot.
Yes.
Historically, a very tough slot for soaps. It opened up because CBS had canceled Match Game in that slot.
Right. And they expanded the episodes back to 30 minutes again, hoping maybe new writers Gene Holloway and Ann Marcus could work some magic with more time.
But the move, it was just catastrophic.
Ratings absolutely plummeted, just fell off a cliff. And worse, many CBS affiliates just started dropping the show altogether.
Exactly. They'd preempted to air more profitable syndicated shows, like the new syndicated version of Match Game, which launched right around then. It was a hit.
So it became this vicious cycle. Lower ratings meant more stations dropped it, which meant even lower ratings.
A death spiral. It really highlights that tension between the network's national schedule and what local stations want to air to maximize their own profits.
And the inconsistency must have killed them, too. You mentioned some stations aired it earlier, some kept it midday.
Right. KNXT in L.A. aired it at 2:30 Pacific. KMOX in St. Louis kept it at 11 a.m. Central. WCBS in New York even aired it at noon for a while. WISH in Indy had it at 3:30 Eastern. It was all over the place.
How could viewers possibly keep track? That alone would hurt viewership.
Absolutely. Total confusion. And fundamentally, that late afternoon slot, 4 p.m. Eastern, was just too late for the traditional daytime drama audience in many markets. It was a gamble that just didn't pay off.
So within just 10 months of that disastrous 4 p.m. move, CBS pulled the plug. They canceled the show.
Yep, the writing was on the wall. And here's where it gets really unusual, especially for a show that ran for almost 30 years. It ended its run on February 1st, 1980, with a cliffhanger.
A cliffhanger. After nearly 3 decades, that's almost unbelievable. What happened?
The character Betsy Crawford, played by Margot McKenna, had just testified in a trial. As she was leaving the stand, she just collapsed.
Yeah.
And that was it. End of scene, end of episode, end of series. Roll credits.
No, you're kidding.
Not kidding. No other networks picked it up, so that cliffhanger remains completely unresolved forever.
Oh, imagine being a loyal viewer, watching for years, maybe decades, and being left hanging like that. That's just cruel.
It really is. Apparently, the cancellation came so close to the final production date that the writers just didn't have time to wrap anything up properly.
It just ran out of time. Wow.
Yeah. A really abrupt, frustrating end for the fans.
And that final shot of the series. The director walking through the empty sets. That sounds incredibly poignant.
It was. Longtime director Larry Auerbach, portfolio in hand, walking out of Studio 41 as Tony Bennett's We'll Be Together Again played. A really symbolic, melancholic farewell.
Wow. You can feel the sadness just hearing about it.
And Auerbach himself actually went on the CBS Evening News the day the show ended and basically said the 4 p.m. slot was a terrible idea, better for kids' shows.
He called out the network, essentially.
Pretty much. It shows how invested the crew was and how frustrating the end must have been for them, too. A real human element to its cancellation.
It certainly is. And the network, they moved on fast, didn't they?
Oh, instantly. The very next Monday, The Young and the Restless expanded to an hour. One day at a time moved into the 4 p.m. slot in most places.
No time wasted.
None at all. There was even that rumor that CBS needed the studio space urgently for the Winter Olympics that were happening later that month. Talk about a swift exit.
Ouch. A truly unceremonious end for a daytime legend. So reflecting on all this, what does it all mean? Love of Life ran for nearly 30 years. That's incredible longevity.
It really is. A testament to serialized storytelling and fan loyalty. From its early, clear, good versus evil days, through the grittier attempts later on, and ending on that frustrating cliffhanger, its journey really mirrors the evolution of daytime TV itself.
Yeah, you see the changes in the industry reflected in its story.
Definitely. If you look at the bigger picture, Love of Life is such a powerful case study. It shows the dynamics of network TV, shifting audience expectations, the challenge of staying relevant for decades.
And how even successful beloved shows aren't immune to bad scheduling or changing tastes.
Exactly. It highlights how broadcast strategies and competition can bring down even a long-running institution. A fascinating, if sometimes sad, look at the life cycle of a TV show.
It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What if they hadn't moved it to 4 p.m.? Would Betsy Crawford have recovered? We'll just never know.
Those questions just linger. A permanent what if for the fans.
For a show called Love of Life, it certainly had a dramatic one, didn't it? Full of ups and downs, and that surprisingly abrupt end leaves you thinking.
And what stands out to you, listening to this, did you watch Love of Life? Do you remember any of these storylines or maybe that infamous cliffhanger ending?
We'd absolutely love to hear your thoughts and memories. If you enjoyed this deep dive into Love of Life, please do give us a like, subscribe to the channel for more classic soap opera history, and definitely leave a comment below. We always love connecting with you and hearing your insights. Until next time, keep those classic stories alive.